right. Namaste, my friends. How are y'all doing? I'm doing pretty good. And boom, this quarantine's still kicking. I'm still waking up at 5 a.m. to do some yoga. I actually woke up at 4:30 today, but I dozed a little bit. I was like, okay, I'm not gonna get up right now. And then I just started yoga, just finished it. In today's practice, I was very much focused on two things. Um, the two things are the first one, easier to explain, is balance, right? I was really playing with balance a lot in all the poses, and not necessarily like in balancing poses where I'm like standing on one foot or anything, but just in all the poses, every single pose that I did, I was trying to figure out what the balance was. From forward fold to warrior two to warrior one, to just any pose that I was doing, wide-legged forward fold. I was just seeing where the balance was, right? Where's the center of balance? Where's the point with which everything is split into two? And then I was playing with that balance, like going a little bit forward, a little bit back, a little bit to the front, like left and right, and just playing with it and seeing what it did. And usually it's like I found that sometimes when I shifted my weight, it would make the pose harder, strain my muscles more because I was too unbalanced to one side. And then if I went to the other side and I found like that perfect balance, it's like I would go much deeper into the pose, because I'm like using gravity as well as just natural alignment to get me deeper into the pose, for example, in like wide-legged forward fold. When my hips were a little too far back and they weren't like perfectly balanced in the center between my legs and my upper body, I was like my spine would only go maybe at like a 40. It would go. My legs are straight, and then my spine would be like this, just barely under 90, maybe like 60. But then when I shifted my hips forward and like made my hips come forward, changing my balance, my upper body, went from this angle to like going much deeper into it. And that's partly, yeah, because it's like, I think when my hips are too far back, my muscles are trying to like keep the balance. And then my upper body must also like contribute by keeping the balance, and that's the angle that it can keep the balance. And if the head went too far to the side of where the hips are pulling, I would have fallen backwards. So that's why my upper body wasn't going down. But when I moved my hips forward above my head and like towards that way, my body had that space to, now it has to go backwards. Like backwards, I mean, from like straight, right? It's bent. It has to go towards the back. And then it just helped me get into a better, much deeper pose of that. Same thing with Warrior One, Warrior Two. Like I was just moving the hips side to side. Because the hips are the center of balance. Your shoulders should be in a line with your hips, and that should be the center. And then like I'm just going back and forth into the front knee, into the back leg. I'm going backwards like towards the glutes, and then going forward towards the pelvic floors, and just seeing what happens. And like my poses really got deeper and deeper. So that's like another interesting thing on the physical side to really focus on, is the balance. The balance in all poses. And then obviously too, when you're doing a balancing pose, an actual balancing pose, whether it's tree pose or um, I don't know, whatever, just any pose that's balancing, it's yeah, really important to like get the balance right and be on equal sides, like what's in front of the balancing point and what's behind the balancing point to be equal, so that you're using you're efficiently being in that pose. And then the second thing that I was noticing today is the gift of breath. Uh, there's I noticed that there are some breaths like within the session. There are some breaths which are more beneficial than other breaths, and you can only get this if you are really focused on that breath when it occurs, you know? Um, and then if you're not paying attention, you miss it, you know? It's sort of like you're having a conversation with a loved one, um, and then you go deep, and then you guys start having like a really deep conversation. You will get one moment when a really personal thing comes up, and you decide in that moment whether you want to share that or you don't want to share that. And then if you choose not to share that, it just like it disappears as soon as it came, and then that moment won't come again. Although you will keep talking about stuff, it's like that one specific, really deep aspect of yourself that only came up that one time in that one conversation. It just goes away, and then you have to wait again until like the right conditions, are there. So it's sort of like that with the breath. There's like you're going deep and deep with the breath, but then there will be that one that comes that's like so deep. And if you're really focused and 100% engaged with it, oh, you'll like it'll blossom. Like when you share that with your loved one, when you share that really deep feeling of yourself or whatever, how much more connected would you feel to that person afterwards? It's like now you're letting them in, you're breaking down the walls and they're really coming in and they get closer to your heart, and you're just like, you feel good about that. Um, Otherwise, like if you don't, you just, you still feel good, maybe even a little distant, because now you're like, okay, so this is what I can't share with this person. And you're just defining the boundaries more. So it's sort of like that too with the breath. It's like when you are there for that one moment, and you might get one moment in the whole hour or however long you're doing the session. You may only get one, you might get two, who knows? And so it's like if you're fully there and you let it in, the breath will just come so close to your consciousness and to your soul, and like you'll just have a special relationship in that moment, and you have to catch that moment. There's These are special gifts given, right? And you just have to be there. And it's like if you're not there, you're just gonna miss it. It's gonna blow by. You're not gonna be shown the secrets of the breath. You're not gonna be shown, the love and the whatever it is. So that is, a little harder to wrap your mind around. It's more of a mental, awareness-based experience, consciousness thing, and less physical. So that's like the other part. And I think that's all for today. Namaste, my friends. I'll see y'all later.